Let's jump right in. Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are looking at a project of just absolutely mind-bending scale. Seriously, imagine taking the raw, profound passion of a fan-made tribute and then scaling it up. I mean, way, way up, until it literally becomes this massive, globe-spanning stadium spectacle. We're breaking down the sheer architectural and visual engineering behind the Black Diamond World Tour. Because, this isn't just about setting up some speakers and plugging in a microphone. No, this is about constructing an entire moving world. I am so incredibly excited to walk you through these blueprints, the visual themes, and really, the sheer theatrical ambition that makes this production so totally unique.
And it all really starts with a fundamental shift in perspective. Like, ask yourself, what happens when a concert actually becomes a cinematic universe? For decades, live music has generally followed the exact same formula. You've got a stage, you've got a band, you throw up some lights. Pretty standard, right? But the creators behind this tour? They completely tore up that rulebook. They looked at live performance and thought, okay, how can we borrow the sheer scale of blockbuster sci-fi films to create a sprawling, immersive narrative? They didn't just want to play music. They wanted to build an entire world from the ground up, completely enveloping the audience in this cohesive, high-concept cinematic environment.
Okay, let's dive into this timeline, because the creative engine for this massive shift kicked into overdrive right after the Crimson Tide album dropped on March 9, 2026. And from that release date, the conceptualization moved at absolute lightning speed. By July 13, 2026, the tour officially kicks off. That launches this multi-continent logistical marvel sweeping through Oceania, South Africa, the US, Brazil, and Europe, wrapping up around March 2027. Going from an album release to a globally engineered stadium tour in literally 4 months, that requires an unprecedented level of creative focus and architectural planning. It's just wild to think about.
But to really wrap our heads around the why behind this aggressive timeline, we have to look at the inspiration. This entire production is actually a fan-made tribute, and it's designed to honor a very specific, larger-than-life performance legacy, that of Michael Jackson. When you're celebrating an artist who is famous for fundamentally changing how we experience live music globally, you can't just do a standard tribute show. You have to match that legendary scale. You really have to push the very limits of technology, stagecraft, and storytelling to capture the essence of a performer who, let's face it, was constantly redefining what was possible inside a stadium.
And because it's so deeply rooted in that specific legacy, the tour has this profound emotional core to it. It explores really heavy themes: pressure, transformation, performance artistry. The visual effects and the stadium architecture, they aren't just there to look cool, although trust me, they absolutely do. They are carefully designed to physically manifest these themes. The staging actually uses light, shadow, and movement to tell a story about the crushing weight of the spotlight and that intense metamorphosis required to become a global icon. Basically, every single visual cue ties right back to the central narrative of transformation.
So, how do they bring those themes to life? Well, the designers established an incredibly strict visual rulebook. They call it the dark luxury aesthetic. Think of this as the foundational DNA of the entire tour. Imagine walking into a massive space completely dominated by black diamond textures, super reflective metallic surfaces, and a tightly controlled color palette. We're talking stark black, silver, deep crimson, and crisp white. It's moody, it's high-end, and it is deeply atmospheric. By sticking so rigidly to this style, the production team makes sure that no matter where you're sitting, you are totally anchored in their cinematic universe.
Now, what's really interesting here is how this dark aesthetic translates directly into heavy physical engineering. Like, this isn't just a flat stage. The centerpiece of the whole thing is this massive, rotating, Earth-inspired structure. Just think about the sheer logistics of that for a second. A rotating, multi-level architectural behemoth flanked by these large curved staircases and totally surrounded by orbit-style lighting rigs that circle the performance space. Plus, because they use all those reflective metallic surfaces, every single beam of light gets caught, fragmented, and bounced right back out into the audience. It essentially transforms the stage into this brilliant, shifting geometric puzzle.
And the designers didn't just want a cool, rotating platform, right? They wanted to design a literal, futuristic planet. By using synchronized visuals, glowing energy patterns, and illuminated pathways that are actually woven directly into the stage's architecture, the whole structure stops feeling like a piece of metal scaffolding. It starts feeling like a living, breathing entity. As the show progresses, this futuristic planet acts as the central character of the visual narrative, constantly shifting its look and its energy to match the musical arcs of the Crimson Tide album.
This right here perfectly illustrates a core difference in their approach.
While your traditional concert experience relies almost entirely on the musical performance to carry the night, the Black Diamond World Tour pivots completely over to cinematic storytelling. We are talking about dramatic, feature film-style opening sequences, painstakingly synchronized visual effects, and intense narrative world-building. Obviously, the music is central, but it's treated almost like the soundtrack to a massive, real-time sci-fi movie that's playing out right in front of you.
But to achieve that level of cinematic precision, that completely changes how you have to rehearse. Behind the scenes, the rehearsal process was way less about standard band practice and far more about what they called rehearsing the cinema. The team spent countless hours just testing complex lighting transitions across those reflective metals, then mapping out the cinematic camera movements so the live projection actually feels like a directed film, finally synchronizing those massive visual effects down to the millisecond. They had to ensure the lighting, the movement of the rotating planet, and the atmospheric effects all triggered in perfect, absolute harmony.
The result of all that meticulous synchronization is this stunning visual identity where sci-fi literally meets luxury fashion. The large-scale projection tech and those orbit lighting systems draw heavily from the sleek, futuristic environments you'd normally see in high-end science fiction. But because of that dark, luxury color palette, the deep crimson, the silver, those black diamond textures, it also carries the pristine, elevated vibe of a runway fashion show. It is this incredibly unique hybrid that just elevates the whole stadium environment into something entirely avant-garde.
Let's switch gears for a second and see how this builds from the perspective of the person actually buying the ticket. The fan's journey is curated from the very first second you step into the stadium, which, as we mentioned, has already been transformed by that dark luxury aesthetic. Almost immediately, cinematic fog systems roll in. The whole stadium goes pitch dark, and this feature film intro sets the narrative stage. When the music finally hits and that massive planet begins to rotate, you are just struck by a sense of absolute wonder. You aren't just watching a show anymore. You are actively participating in a fully realized environment.
And that sense of participation is driven by a deeply, deeply immersive atmosphere. It's all about the combination of specific sensory triggers working together. The cinematic fog systems give the light something physical to catch onto, adding real volume to the space. Then the laser lighting cuts through that fog, creating massive geometric shapes in the air. The glowing staircases guide your eye all across the stage, while large-scale projection visuals completely expand the boundaries of the physical set. Every single tool in the modern production arsenal is being used here to essentially wrap the audience inside the performance.
So the crucial point really is captured perfectly right here. The ultimate goal of all this crazy architecture engineering is to create the feeling of being inside a moving world. The creators of this tour didn't want viewers passively staring at a flat screen, right? By integrating that rotating, illuminated planet stage with the atmospheric lighting and the dark luxury aesthetic, they engineered a space that feels kinetic, feels alive. It's honestly a testament to the power of visual storytelling, using physical space to transport tens of thousands of people, all at the exact same time into a totally different reality.
Which leads us to a massive, industry-shifting question to end on. If a fan-made tribute concept, driven by a deep respect for legacy performance artistry, can engineer this staggering level of cinematic world-building in futuristic architecture, how will this transform the future of live stadium spectacles? If fans are out here conceptualizing moving worlds and sci-fi luxury environments, what does the next decade of live music even look like? It completely raises the bar. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep wondering, keep analyzing, and I'll catch you in the next one.